You're listening to How to 20-something, the best podcast that helps both men and women navigate their 20s and learn how to adult across all aspects of their lives. We're going to focus on career, relationships, finances, fitness, nutrition, and all of the common challenges and obstacles a typical 20-something will face in this post-college life. I'm your host, Jess Diamond, and I am the CEO and founder of Jess Diamond Coaching, where I help young professionals get their shit together, gain their confidence, and own their life. No one prepares you for this adulting world, so allow me to help you feel like you are no longer a chicken running around with its head cut off, and that you actually know what the hell is going on and what your next step to take is. Welcome to How to 20-something. Welcome back to another episode of How to 20-something, where today's episode is all about you and your relationship to your phone. Since the creation of the iPhone, our relationship to our devices has basically created a chokehold on us. Yes, there are so many benefits to these advances in technology, but there are so many detriments too. And if you're anything like me, then you have some kind of addiction to your phone, social media, scrolling, and essentially being distracted and constantly stimulated. It's destroying your life, and you don't even realize it. I was actually having a conversation with Ryan about phones when I was creating this episode topic, and we realized we see our phones very differently. Now, I plan these episodes far in advance, so know that we've already talked this through, and many, many weeks have gone by since, and all is well. But he sees his phone as what comes first takes priority. Meaning, if someone is on their phone, that takes priority over someone in the room trying to have a conversation, providing said person was on their phone prior to the other person speaking. And I see it as the opposite. The phone is the back burner to the real in-person interaction trying to take place. And truthfully, I think his view is completely and totally wrong outside of work-related phone usage or a friend needing help. But in terms of scrolling social media or reading Reddit posts, the phone is secondary to in-person. In-person is real. It's connection-based. It's important. Your phone is fake. Even when you're talking to someone real or viewing someone's real life, it is artificial connection that can in no way, shape, or form replace in-person. If the pandemic taught us anything, it was that. The virtual world is not supposed to be this accessible. So it's time we talk about why you absolutely should take a step back from your handheld device and get unplugged. My relationship with my phone became very apparent when I first became self-employed. And I see this in a lot of my clients who are fresh college grads that don't have a full-time job yet, or clients who are recently unemployed, or anyone in between jobs. For me, when I first left my job and moved to Charlotte, I would wake up and stay in bed scrolling for at least an hour. That's how I started my day every day. And about 2 months in, I realized how unhelpful this was, so I started to charge my phone in the kitchen every night. That when I go to sleep, I'm not on it for the last hour of my day, and when I woke up, I would get ready for my day and give myself a 20-minute gap between waking up and viewing my phone, and I most certainly would not bring it back into my bed, except for on weekends. If I had no morning plans, I would treat myself with bed phone time. And I'm telling you this because I don't want you to misunderstand me. When I first started doing this, I would feel so anxious having my phone charging in a different room with no explanation as to why, aside from it being something new and uncomfortable since I was so used to having it charge right next to me and click on my phone to see if any notifications came in all the way up until I was falling asleep. But then it got easier, and it became normal, and actually influenced one of the first talks I ever gave called I Broke Up With My Phone and Why You Should Too. That minimal separation alone was a game changer and completely shifted how I relate to my phone and highlighted how damaging phone usage is to every aspect of your life. Your focus, productivity levels, inner thoughts, actions, getting your day going, all the things. I had a client who I worked with last year, and she told me when we were setting up her routine that she has to be on her phone for the first hour of the day to wake up. Now, I didn't tell her this, but bullshit. No, you don't. You literally don't and honestly shouldn't be on your phone to help you wake up. That's not a thing. That is a relationship to your device that you developed and is now a habit. The good news, habits can change. And you should absolutely work to change that habit with your phone because it is destroying you. Now, with creating this episode, I do want to make it very clear that my ways are not perfect. My relationship to my phone isn't perfect. My screen time hovers around 4 hours a day. I'll find myself taking my phone out and scrolling TikTok while I'm even on a walk or in between ads on Hulu or even in conjunction with a show playing in the background. I also no longer charge my phone in the kitchen. But I am up and out of the house within 15 minutes of waking up, so I'm not usually sitting and scrolling on any given weekday. I tell you this because I know I can still improve on my relationship to my phone, and it's part of the reason why I wanted to create this episode. But what I have been doing is starting to challenge myself to spend less time with my phone when doing activities that don't really require it. Examples being when I lift weights. I'll try to go through at least half the workout without headphones. Or when I go for a walk, I try to make one of my walks on a non-lifting day without my phone, if it's a shorter one. I understand that might be scary for you to do based on where you live, so maybe it's putting your phone on airplane mode or something so you aren't bothered or tempted by it when you're on a walk, and you don't really need to be on your phone for any reason. But we need to start to unplug for more minutes of the day than just when our eyes are shut. And before you give me any pushback, hear me out. Let's talk about what this is actually doing to you, because I don't think most people realize the full scope and damage that occurs with being so accessible to the entire world and constantly stimulated. According to research, the average adult spends 7.5 hours a day in front of a screen for leisure. So that's not sitting in front of your computer at work. It's all the time outside of that. My TEDx talk had additional research that stated people who are on social media for more than 2 hours a day have double the odds of reporting increased perception of social isolation compared to those who are on social media for less than 30 minutes a day. And I know we're all guilty of scrolling for more than those 30 minutes a day. Your screen time is directly linked to negative thought patterns, lower sense of fulfillment and life satisfaction, sleep issues, increased stress and anxiety, cardiovascular dysfunction, depression, and overall decline in cognitive performances. This is not me being dramatic. This is the truth. Stress, anxiety, depression, and sleep issues alone are extremely apparent in my clients and has only continued to increase with a young 20-something that I work with. And some tactics I've implemented with clients is password protecting their apps after a certain time of day and making a friend set the password or turning off notifications from an app that induces anxiety. But in actuality, you need to learn to separate your in-person life from the virtual world because every time you open your phone, you are giving the green light for your brain to compare you to everyone, even people you don't know. I hope I'm not dating myself when I say this, but Instagram used to stop when you were all caught up on your feed based on the people you followed. Now, I'll get some random-ass person celebrating their engagement as the first thing I see, and for a second, I'm staring hard at my screen asking myself, do I even know this person? And I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. Your phone contains everyone else's highlight reel, their vacations, relationships, bodies, success, all curated for the public eye. I know someone who was celebrating their 2-year anniversary and posted a cute celebratory outing with her boyfriend when they were actually going through a breakup. Guys, it's literally all fake. But your brain does not register that. All it registers is your actual life compared to this deception being portrayed online. So not only is your mental health deteriorating, but your focus and productivity is as well. Every notification, buzz, ding, scroll, quick check, even phantom notifications. You know what I'm talking about, when your phone is in your pocket and you feel like it buzzed and you check it and there's nothing there. All of that is training your brain to crave constant stimulation, which means the moment something in your life requires sustained focus, such as a work project, reading a book, or God forbid, sitting still with your thoughts, now becomes the hardest task to do because your brain is begging for a distraction or for a sense of stimulation. Phones have trained our brains to be unable to be bored. We see it with iPad kids. And now all of us say that in 5 to 10 years when we have kids, we refuse to let them have iPads. You're becoming an iPad kid, but you're an adult. We need to be bored. All humans need to be bored. Boredom is not the enemy. Boredom inspires creativity and clarity. There was a study that was done in a book I read for my book club the book was Do Hard Things. And it said that they asked participants to sit alone with their thoughts for 15 minutes. And if they needed help passing the time, they could shock themselves. Yep, you heard that right. Shock themselves. One participant shocked himself 190 times in the 15 minutes just so he wouldn't have to be alone with his thoughts. This is a serious issue. My friend in book club agreed with this participant and was like, yeah, I'd probably do the same thing. I don't want to be alone with my thoughts. Now, the next problem is what I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, and it's your relationships. Like, how many times have you been at dinner with someone and one or both of you were on your phones or glancing at your phone every few minutes? Or how about, when was the last time you ate a meal by yourself without a phone in sight? That one is uncomfortable, but you should really give it a try. Your relationships are worsening because you think you're being present by physically being in the room, but you're not actually there. You are where your attention is, in another world, another universe that exists in your phone. This is the point I made to Ryan when it came to his relationship to his phone and what it does to our relationship. And truthfully, I find it to be extremely rude to be on your phone when you're with someone else. You're sending the silent signal that this device and the worlds that live in it is more important than the current reality that has you in it. It sounds harsh and it sounds exaggerated, but in a nutshell, that's exactly what's happening. And what Ryan and I have implemented is no phones or watches, no notifications from the time we sit down for dinner until the time I go to bed, because I go to bed early. Mind you, it's about an hour and a half time frame. And that is working wonders for us. So if you're in a relationship and are experiencing phone issues and attention issues, I recommend trying that. At least trying it for just dinner time to start. So put all of these things together, all the things I mentioned, all the problems I've mentioned, and you've got shitty mental health, an inability to focus, and relationships that are quietly eroding. All from the thing in your hand that feels so harmless, but is dictating your entire life. And now that you know all of this is true, and you're finally getting your wake-up call, or maybe you already know these things to be true, then why can't we all just stop? Why can't we all collectively put our phones down and be happier and more present in our lives? It's because it's not that easy. And I get that. I totally get that. The apps on your phone, all of them, the phone itself, are designed to be addictive. There are literally teams of people whose job it is to study your psychology, usage, and habits, and then engineer features that keep you engaged and scrolling, just like Instagram's update. And now we have For You pages where content is constantly being updated to fit your needs and interests. And you have infinite scrolling, custom feeds, and notifications that draw you back in. Basically, you don't have a willpower problem. This is a design problem. You're responding in the exact way these teams have intended you to do. They're really good at their jobs. So you're not weak for struggling to separate yourself from your phone and just listen to what I'm telling you and stop. You're just a victim to a technologically advanced system. And since we've been using our phones for well over a decade, I got my first iPhone in 2010 for reference, it's a habit that is very tough to break, especially when it's designed to not be broken. We used to just sit around, stare at things, read magazines when waiting to check out, or the back of shampoo bottles when taking a poop. Now, even a few seconds without stimulation feels unbearable. Be honest. Do you think you could go take a poop without your phone? Or wait in a line? Or in a waiting room at your next doctor's appointment? I didn't think so. Because I couldn't either. Maybe you could give it a try the next time, though, because that's how you start to rebuild your tolerance. I already mentioned that it is built to be addicting. But another reason as to why it is so hard to just stop being on your phone so often is from the fear of missing something important. Whether that is a text, an email, a piece of news, or just what is happening in everyone else's life. Your brain has convinced you that stepping away means you're a bad friend, irresponsible, or might miss something that actually matters. When in reality, it's just noise that feels urgent in the moment. And that last piece as to why it's so hard to stop being on your phone is actually highlighted in an entirely different episode called What Your Coping Mechanism Says About You. Using your phone is how you've learned to numb out, relax, or avoid. You think your phone is giving you relief, and yet you feel more anxious when you put your phone back down than when you did when you initially picked it up. So, getting unplugged isn't just about screen time, isn't just about your relationships deteriorating. It's about being willing to sit with whatever your phone is helping you to avoid. And it's possible you're not ready for that yet. So I want to go over some easy practices that you can begin implementing today. Some of which I've already mentioned, like going on an unplugged walk. Leave your phone and headphones at home, grab your keys, maybe your mace if you feel safer with it, and go for a walk. If it helps, go for a color walk where you pick a color before you set out on your walk. Try to find all the things that have that color in it. Just don't pick something like green because you're going to get bored very fast. The second thing you can do is adjust your notifications. I personally can't relate to the notification thing because I've been on Do Not Disturb ever since my phone blasted out on the first day of 6th grade in Miss Vereen's class and got confiscated after it turned on in my backpack and my ringtone blared an earlier message from my mom wishing me good luck on my first day. I'm still traumatized from that. But if you're someone with every notification turned on, whether it buzzes or not, you need to cut back. Maybe just have text messages on, depending on your line of work. You could have work messages on. But you don't need political updates that second. You don't need Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or your Gmail or your game is ready for you to play or anything. You don't have to jump right into Do Not Disturb the way I did. But you do need to find ways to cut back, whether it's certain hours of the day you're on Do Not Disturb or certain apps have notifications disabled. The third thing you can do is create physical distance between you and your phone. Whether it's what I used to do with charging my phone in the kitchen, or it's keeping your phone in another room so you don't mindlessly reach for it all the time when you're working or you're on the couch or doing something where you don't also need to be on your phone. Out of sight, out of mind is a real thing, and it will do wonders for your focus. Like I said, Ryan will take his watch off and put his phone away when we sit down for dinner because of how distracting his notifications are and how much I despise it because it immediately draws his focus there. And yes, I'd say I'm slowly weaning him off of his phone, whether he knows it or not. But that also goes for your smartwatch. Turn it all off. It'll still be there when you check the notifications drop down, but it won't be going off the second something pops up. That's why I love Do Not Disturb. The way I think about it is I want to choose when I look at my phone or my watch. I don't want my phone or my watch to choose when I look at it. And Do Not Disturb gives me the power to check when I please versus be summoned. Lastly, set limits with social media. Either give yourself time windows as to when you can graze or set time limits on apps so you are conscious of how much time you just spent scrolling. But you have to do something. I know I gave you a lot of information and different actions to take with you. I gave you studies as to why it's destroying your life, a breakdown as to what's happening underneath the surface, and steps that you can choose from to begin the unplugging process. Because here's the bottom line. Your phone is not going anywhere. Neither is social media. Neither is endless scrolling designed to keep your eyes glued to the screen. That being said, you get to decide how much power it has over your life. And right now, your phone holds so much power over you. The anxiety you feel, the inability to sit in silence for 5 minutes with your thoughts, being in the virtual world more than the physical world, none of that is normal. Just because it's common does not mean it's good. And this is in no way good. It's just what normal has become. So it's up to you to go and get unplugged. Because I promise you, the discomfort you feel when putting your phone away is nothing compared to the life you'll be able to build as a result. The life that's happening now, in this room, with these people, in this moment, not the life that's happening online. So do yourself a favor, go get unplugged, even if it's just for a few minutes a day. Do something that helps you create the divide between you and the digital world. And that, my friends, is how I'm going to leave this episode of How to 20-something. If you liked what you heard, this felt ranty to you, if you learned something new, or know someone who could afford to detach from their phone a bit, then please share this episode. Post it on your story, send it to a friend, give me a 5-star rating. Just do something to help me reach all the 20-somethings navigating the most confusing decade of their life and only gets more confusing with technology being involved. And as always, I can't wait to be in your headphones again next week with another brand new episode.